Hi, I'm Brian with Montana Angler. We're out here on a beautiful late June day on the Madison River. We're going to talk today about fishing early summer hatches across Montana. This time of year is arguably the most prolific time of year for finding aquatic insect hatches. If you're going to fish this time of year, this is what you need to focus on. There are really 6 categories of aquatic insects that we need to pay the most attention to. The salmonfly stonefly, the golden stonefly, yellow sally stoneflies, pale morning dun mayflies, a variety of caddis, but they're all about the same size. And finally, in some places we have drakes like brown drakes or green drakes. During the early summer hatch cycle, trout really are going to focus almost exclusively on one of these categories of aquatic insects. So your fly box needs to represent that. You need to have at least one good imitation of the adult, as a dry fly, of each species, and you need to have at least one imitation of each species in the nymph form. One of the most important elements fishing in the early summer is to remember that these hatches tend to occur in about a 4-hour window. Sometimes that's in the morning on a hot day, extending into around lunch. Sometimes on a colder day or when the rivers are high from melting snow, the hatch window starts at lunch and extends into the early afternoon. Trout know the hatches are coming. Before the hatches begin, they kind of lay up. They're not very active. Once the hatches are over, the dinner bell quits ringing and those fish go back to their resting areas and feeding activity subsides. So you need to make sure you target the magic 4-hour window whenever it is in early summer. Often what we'll find when we fish in early summer on our Montana rivers is fly soup. 3, 4, 5 different insect species intermingling, hatching at the same time. Some days the trout aren't that selective and they'll eat a golden stone, a yellow sally, a PMD, whatever comes their way. On days like this, I like to upsize my flies to try to make fish move a little further. So if I see some golden stones or some salmon flies, I'll have at least one pattern that imitates that really large morsel. I have a better chance of hooking a big fish. I also might move fish from further away to come intercept that fly. If you fish 2 flies, balance the bigger fly with something smaller, a pale morning dun, a caddis, etc. There are a lot of days, even when multiple species are hatching, where trout actually become quite selective. They focus on one species of insect, and when that's the case, you need to figure out what they're eating. Be observant. Watch how trout are rising if they're coming to the surface. If they're splashing, they might be eating caddis. If it's a sip, they might be eating mayflies. So you really need to pay attention closely to exactly what the trout are eating and then imitate that to have success when the trout get a little picky. Fishing for trout in Montana always keeps you guessing, it keeps changing. But one of the most exciting times of the year is that mid-June through mid-July window when we have the peak of our summer hatches. It's a great time to throw dry flies, great time to catch fish, great time to be outside.